Welcome to XXL on the bench today. We got the Axial SCX6. One thing that you notice is the tire foams seem pretty soft in this. You can see how I can easily compress that sidewall on these tires. I got these a while back. If you saw my RC parts haul video, I got these foams. They're a closed cell foam that are made specifically for the Axial SCX6. These are made by a company called Steady Spin. Steady Spin is on YouTube, and he reached out to me and said, we got to get you some steady foams. So I bought some off of his Etsy shop. Let's just look at a size comparison. These are much wider and taller than what the tires look like on the outside. So what that's going to do is provide some great support. Now, running the tires like this may be good in some scenarios, but if you're going to be doing trailing or a lot of side hilling, things like that, you may not want that roll, because if you get on a side hill, especially with the Jeep body on this thing, it's heavy, and you want as much underneath you for stability as possible. And if that tire's rolling like that, the truck's going to come tumbling after it. So I'm going to pull the tires off the truck and get the wheels taken apart, and then we can compare the steady foams with the stock foams, and then we'll get these stuffed inside those tires and see how it sits after that. It's got the Black Rhino wheels. These are just plastic beadlock. There is some screws on the back. I'll show you those once I get them off the truck. These have a center cap on them, and there's 6 2.5mm hex screws on each. So it's a little bit of a process taking them off. You know, you can use a trusty 2.5mm hex driver like this, or I think there was probably one that came with it, but I think what I'm going to use is this little battery operated screwdriver. You don't want to use anything that has a lot of torque, because this is just plastic. You're going to strip those out if you're really wrenching on it. But something like this, really low torque, I think, yeah, it's 4 volt. It's not going to hurt that. Let's get to work on this. I'm going to pull all the wheels off, and then we'll come back and show how these wheels come apart. And then we'll get the foams out, compare them, and then we'll get the new foams put in. We've got our 6 hex head bolts taken out, and then that center cap just comes right off to reveal a 10mm bolt underneath, and that's what holds the wheel onto the axle. I'm just going to use a ratchet. Again, I think there was probably a tool that came with it for this, but I find it easier just to use tools I already had. Once you get it loose, you should be able to just take it off with your fingers. Alright, easy peasy. Got that off. Like I said earlier, there's 6 screws on the back, and that's what locks these together. There's no glue on these. These are beadlocks. So we've got our wheel. We're just going to take these beadlock screws out of here. Now that we got those out, we can pull the face of this wheel off. It might take a little bit just to get it. Oh, yep, there we go. So I don't know if you've ever seen the inside of beadlocks, but the bead of the tire looks like that. It kind of forms around, and then this sits right on top of that bead. And then when you screw them together, locks the bead right in. And these are 3-piece. So you got the back of your wheel, and then the center part, and then the top fits right in there. They go together just like that. Pull this foam out of here. Fits in pretty freaking tight. I don't know how easy or hard it's going to be to get those other foams in. Huh. Wow. Yeah, okay. But yeah, you can see they were kind of pinched in the beadlock a little bit in some areas. Let's compare. They're just a little bit wider, maybe a little bit taller, but these might have just been compressed down from being shoved inside that tire for so long. So, but I can definitely tell I can compress those easily. These take a little bit more force to get down. So definitely a softer foam here. This is a little bit more rigid. So now, gotta try and fit this big foam. I mean, look at how much wider it looks than the tire. Try and fit those in there. I think what we'll do is we'll just compress one side, shove it in there. We'll work our way around. These might be a little tricky to get back together. We'll see how it goes once I get this inner ring back in the wheel. Still looking a little funky on the other side. I want to see, we got all this extra foam here. It's right at the edge there, so you just kind of want to work it so it's right in the middle, you know. But that definitely firms up those tires quite a bit. See, I'm pulling the bead off to the side just a little bit, just to get that ring settled down in there. I'm going to push this foam back on this side so we get a good seat for the bead. Then we'll just line up our screw holes here with the holes in the back. Make sure we get this bead seated down. Again, we're just pulling the tire back a little bit. All lined up. We'll get a screw started here. And when I'm doing bead locks, I like to do one screw on this side. I'll just get it down because these aren't fully compressed yet. I'll get it down to the top of this back ring, and then I'll do the one right across from it. And I'll just continue like in a star pattern. So you get it just down to where that it's making contact with that ring. Then we'll move on to the next one. Now that I'm on the last one, I got it down just where it's making contact. I'm going to give it a couple more turns. I'm going to work my way back in the opposite star pattern. So the one right across from that. I'll do this one. And each time I'm just going a little bit more till I get all of them down to where they're all nice and tight. Yeah, that last one's right where I want it to be. So I'm just going to check before I go through and tighten the rest of them. Make sure the bead's not popping out anywhere or pinched too much. Yeah, looks good. I'm just going to crank down the rest of these. I'm just going to throw this back on the truck and we can compare the difference between the two. Got the beast back on the bench. Man, that thing takes up a lot of room. Oh yeah, I can already tell without even taking this thing for a drive. I mean, you still get a little bit of squish, but nothing like you get up here. The front one has a stock foam in it still. The back one has the steady foam in it. You can definitely tell a difference here. This one, see how short the sidewall looks? This one a little bit taller. It's just a much firmer foam in there. Now, different applications call for different types of foams. This may be more helpful if you're in sand or something like that, maybe even snow, where you would want a wider footprint. This, I think, will be more beneficial when you're on trails or if you're doing side hilling, stuff like that, because you got a nice firm foundation there. These ones want to roll a little bit. Just take another look here, see how we're almost, see we have this tread on the side and that's almost on the ground there, where here that side tread is right where it's supposed to be, on the side of the tire, not underneath it. This would be like you go to the sand dunes and you air down. This is normal. Still get a little bit of squish, which is good. Here, not a squish. Definitely a good upgrade, easy to do, anybody can do this. Highly recommend checking out Steady Foam and the Steady Spin channel. I will link all that stuff in the description below. Hope you guys found this to be informative. If you did, hit that like button. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. And if this is your first time visiting my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And I will see you guys in the next video.